So we touch on the 61.8% at the 4,000, and we still have a little bit more to go here. We'll check on that. We've got a 3-day weekend approaching, so we could probably expect lower volume. The volume I have on this particular platform here suggests that we had higher volume coming into play on this day here, but that's not what I'm seeing on TradingView, and they've got lower volume, and some of the other markets things I look at, Yahoo is another one that's also got lower volume as well. But because I don't pay for US data, I mean, I do, but it's on my other computer at the moment, so that's a bit of an issue. So I can't, I mean, the trouble with this is a CFD product here, and the problem with that is that a broker, a CFD broker, they're a market maker. They need to make their own market, so their volume can be different from that. And I find that with TradingView, somebody mentioned something to me about it, but I can't remember what it was now. But they seem to sort of add all their curb trading a little bit later on, or whatever it is. So anyway, I still got to get my head around that. But yeah, we could expect lower volume coming into the to the holiday, the US King holiday, and yeah, let's just see how this plays out. Now, I don't really have any sort of answers at the moment for this, but I think patience would be the answer for us to just allow the market to sort itself out at this particular level. I mean, as I've always mentioned, is that we want to see a tested support on this level, and you know, we're far from that at the moment. The patterns that we'll be looking for will be this one here. So we're at the arrival now, and the arrival could fall short. It could go above the level. It's just in that vicinity here. Different markets do different things at different times, and we'll see some sort of reaction from that. If we do see another push up here, then that's the part of the process that would see in a bullish move. But even then, we still need to wait for it to fold back at that point. Sure, we can intraday trade it up here and all those sort of things, but we still need it to fold back and and to settle in on support. Now, we could end up getting a slightly different variation. I only see basically 3 skeleton type patterns at levels. This is the other one here. But if once we get the first high in here, then, you know, we go long above that. But most of the time we always get a second high that we can move in on at that point. The third one here is where it doesn't stop at the level and just goes straight through and then exhausts itself and then folds back and finds that level as a balance point, just like the other ones. As I mentioned in the stocks video, and I'll just quickly go over it, there's certain sectors that some are very weak, some are in the middle, and some are really at their old highs. And when I mean old highs, I mean, you know, these old highs here. So there's a bit of a bunch of them. Some are down here, some in the middle, and some up the top here. Now, one of them that's right down the bottom is the communication sector here. And quite simply, you know, we need to confirm, we know that a move up here in 3 waves is corrective. So it's possible that when that tops out, that can make a new low here. The other point to this, though, is that once this, and this is the same for the S&P, we're looking at that move coming up here. When that tops out here, if it's going to be bullish, we need to move past an A and a B and a C structure here. So we'll see some sort of ABC pattern and then another move up, and then we can just go long at that point. That's obviously, we can refine it further than that, but in its simplistic form, that would be it at that point to buy at this low here, because a breach of this top here, or even the B wave here, would eliminate this from being an ABC correction. Well, at least at this level, it might come up to the 50-60% up here and then come down again. Do you know what I mean? As a whole A wave here, B wave up here, and so on. But that gets us past, that gets us into these markets that are at the lows. So that's basically what we're doing with the SP 500, and a market that's in the middle of it all is the finance sector. So it's kind of further up within all of this. So we're looking at this in different ways. We can look at this as being an A wave here, B wave here, and a C wave here, then up for 1 and back for 2. This is looking very impulsive here. So I'm getting, I'm getting the sort of the feeling that we've got wave 1 up here and 2 here, but it doesn't really matter. We still need it to top and we need it to pull back, Could this be the A wave over here and then a B wave over here with an A and a B and a C wave for the B wave here and down for the C wave? Possibly, but I don't think it's that, because when I look at the industrials, which is sort of a bit closer to the old highs over here, I haven't taken them out. But I also need to point out too that the English market, the FTSE, has taken that top out here, its previous high. So, but Europe's doing business with China, and so is Australia, so we're seeing some other strength in that space. This is the industrial sector here, so it's very high up here, isn't it, And I was thinking that, well, I can count this up as 5 waves to here or here. One of the things, if it's wave 2 to here, then the same thing applies again. We're still going to go up here as 5 waves and come back as an ABC pattern and then move up again. I've probably done that a little bit too big, but we can pretty much just copy that, put that wave 1 here and wave 2 here. Now the other thing about this is that I can look at that as wave 1, or this is wave 1. If this is wave 1, then I'll have this as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, and then go up from that point. So it's kind of interesting. This is kind of looking bullish. The finance sector is looking bullish. So there is that bullishness in the air there. However, we still need to confirm things. We know that Nasdaq is, quite weak. Some of the smaller stocks within the Russell are doing quite well. When you look at the Russell 3000 and compare it to the Russell 1000, you'll see the difference in all of that. So yeah, look, in a nutshell, this is very much like the indices that we're looking at. So, but in this case, we're taking out the top here for this one, but we still need that 5 waves and the pullback. That's the bottom line. Now, we can refine this further and move in on the lows down here, so to speak. But yeah, that's the pattern that we're looking for. So just with that in mind, sorry to bore you to death on that. So this little pattern moving up here, right, is on the S&P, is this one here. So on this one, we can see that we're testing the tops, but we're not testing the tops here because we've got the 4,000. It's quite, and the Nasdaq is a little bit lower as well for that. So there is a good bullish case, and but we just got to go step by step, don't we? Because we don't have 5 waves up here just yet. We only have 3 waves up, and as I just mentioned, I expect a little bit more of a push there, but coming into the King's holiday, there's going to be on lower volume as well. So I don't really see it doing a lot at this stage, and I think just being patient here. A lot of this consolidation down here, I know it's a little bit weird, and other Elliott folks will probably start throwing stuff at me again, but it does look quite corrective in here. But when you consider this, I've seen this particular pattern in other markets, and you can see that it's in here as well. And yet it's taking the top out there. So it must be some sort of 1 and 2 in here. Some sort of 1 and 2. I think we can get a 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 in here. There's other markets that are the same as well that I've looked at that count quite nicely as 1 and 2. But if for a moment, just bear with me, if this was 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, then this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would all be the 3rd wave here, wouldn't it? And then we'll have the 4th wave once we get that top here. Because once I get that top there, I'm thinking that we'll come down for the C wave at that point, that last little move there. But what happens if we get another 1 and 2 out of here, and we push up here and we get the first high above the level? Well, then we'll get a classic trading levels pattern here. And this is really what we're looking for at this point, I know we've had it here before as well. We had the, rival and the first high above the level. And, if I can't remember if we made a mistake here or not. I don't think we did, but because because it was all a little bit sort of messy in here, but it's part of it. It just didn't really give us what we were looking for at that stage, and this one here as well. But we also have to remember we're still in the downtrend here, but we can look at this as, you know, the first high above the level, so going long above here, and then this is really the second high above the level here, but it's still in the downtrend at this point. Now that we've made the low here, and we've had a retest here that's failed here, because we're always looking for that retest, and it's basically failed and come back down, and now it's testing that supply again here. So it could certainly fail here. All I'm saying is that I could only go long if this becomes a tested support. We get that classic trading levels pattern at this stage. Sometimes the classic trading level pattern is quite simple, and sometimes it's quite sort of complex. But it's something that, you know, it's like Elliott. If it's clear, we can use it. If it's not clear, then we need to find another way to view the market. Anyway, let's just cruise in here. So we'll have a look at the intraday here in a moment. I just want to have a look at the bullish side of things. So we're going to go onto the 20-tick chart, and the bullish side of things, there's a few different ways to look at it. We're going to look at them in different ways. First of all, as wave 1 up here. Okay, that's one way to look at it. With the A wave here, an A and a B wave here. So an A and a B and a C for the B wave in here. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. And I do believe that I think we've got one more little high to go in here to finish that off, and then we should see that wave C coming down here. That's what we've been sort of playing at, and at that point we would move up from that up that stage. But what I'm sort of thinking as well is that you know, is it possible to call this wave 1? So I think I've got it on the 10K tick chart here, where we've got a slightly different count, which would be we've looked at this. We've looked at both of these before. One of them is that we have wave 1 over here, and we have this as an A wave and a B wave up here, and then a C wave down to here. So in this case, that C wave would be here, and the wave 2 would be there in that instance. So that wave C would be here with wave 2 here. Another way to look at it, if we wanted to take that top there, is look at this as 5 waves down here as the A wave and the B wave and the C wave. It's a little bit small, but I've seen that sort of thing before, so that's sort of okay. So it's possible to look at either of these as sort of finishing off here. Now, this one here is more likely, because obviously this one here has got this low here. So it's probably, we could remove this one here and leave this one into play here. But see, when I go back over here, if I just use this as an example here, see, this high is lower than this one here, and that would be 5 waves here, and now we're sort of taking the top out here. So in this case, it would make 1, 2, 3, A, B, C for 4 and up for 5, and then the A, the B, and the C wave here. And we're getting that impulse wave taking that top out there, you know. So that's really quite a nice sort of pattern at that point. So I know that things don't add up quite well here, but I think sometimes it's good to see what the rest of the market's doing and being a little bit philosophical. And so in that sort of being a bit philosophical, if in this case here, I've got it counted a little bit differently. I'm using this as 1 and 2, and 1 here and A, B, C for 2 here, because that's in 5 and that's in 5. And then looking at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 3rd, 4th. And so we just need to see if this plays out here, you know. It might be completely wrong, and that's okay too. But, you know, we need to have a plan B, so to speak. And if we do see this, that can push up here to finish that little 5th wave off here, then back for the green wave 4, and then up for wave 5 here. And, you know, it might happen on Tuesday when they come back, you know, everybody rush, because normally I notice with holidays in the US, when everybody comes back on the Tuesday, then everybody's feeling chirpy and positive and yada yada yada. Inflation, CPI's down, you know, everything's looking good, and then everybody piles in and we fold back again. But that would be the pattern that we're looking for if we're going to go long. Okay, so there we go. We can go in and have a little bit of a look at this trend here. I think we've got that on the 1000 or the 100. This will do. Yeah, so we knew that we were going to get some, you know, some spikiness from the CPI job figures and all of that sort of stuff. So not that big, not, you know, not sort of harmful in any way, but we're tracking as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. I have to say this particular trend here looks more like a bit of a third wave, but it's very lazy as well compared to everything else. And I don't really like this as a fourth wave here, the way it's sort of sharp, and it also just sort of comes close to the top here, or even nips it out in a way. Let's just check on that. But I'd rather check on the cash market for that type of thing as well. So yeah, it looks a bit sort of third wavy to me. But anyway, we just got to start from the conservative thing. So from wave 4 here, I don't have 5 waves up here. I've got wave 1 and 2. Could probably look at this as the 3rd and 4th. I still need to see it pop its head up here for this one here. But just remember, even if that's the top there, the other chart that we looked at would still give us another one up here, you know, before we got our ABC pattern here and so on at this point. So it's still we just need to be a little bit patient. Now that we've talked about this, we just can allow it to unfold and not get chopped up in it, you know. You don't want to trade long straight into a big number like this. That's like, you know, unless you're going to take a longer term view of the situation. But you normally just trade to that number and get out, you know, and then wait for the next setup, you know. So that's that. This is the Nasdaq here on the daily chart. So it hasn't really rallied that much, but it's also knocking its head on the medium level, which is 11,500, halfway between two major levels, 10 and 13. So yeah, I mean, we could use that as well, you know, to see how that sort of plays out. We can use the classic trading levels pattern here as well. I mean, here we could probably count this up here as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here, and then an A and a B and a C wave here for that. You know, this has got the Google in it and all that sort of stuff, and you know, where's that other one? It doesn't really matter about the communications thing, but yeah, that's where that pattern can come from. So we just got to see how this sort of plays out here. I mean, we were counting it up. I think we're on the 1000 tick here, so it's the same as the S&P really, so I won't bore you to death on this, but we've got this. I haven't had a really good look at this here. It does look like we might need to put that up here, but anyway, it doesn't really matter too much. We still need to count 5 waves from a low here. Yeah, so anyway, we should see the Asian session push this up here. But, you know, we can look at it in different ways. So we can look at it as wave 2 or wave B up here. We can also look at it, you know, if we took that more bullish count on the S&P 500, which we can do, and we can put this here, that would give us wave 3 up at this point. And we'll see a wave 4 and wave 5. So there's a lot to go on here. In terms of other things here, after number 5, you got number 8, and then we had 65 into that, so 650 and 72, 72, well, it's actually 72 and a half, but so rounding it off to the 3 is fine. So that's group 2 here. So that's really going to put, you know, when this market moves up here, that's going to put the sort of ceiling in that. And we've also got the 61.8% at that 650. So it's a good sort of target area here, either for this trend or a move down and then another move up there in that case. But I'd be very careful about trading into the long weekend and around this large number. Now the Russell has moved up a lot. I think it's the smaller stocks that have pushed it up rather than the larger stocks in this, but I'll need to double sort of check on that. So I can look at this just in because move past the 61.8%. It's not the 61.8% is not the end of the world, so to speak. That's it here. We can go to the 78.6, which is the next, square root of 61.8%, and so on and so on. But the point is it looks strong, and trends have a beginning, a middle, and end. And if this is the beginning parts down here, in this case I've counted as 1 here, and ABC for 2, 1 and 2 here, then 1 and 2, and sort of building up. So it could build up further here. So when I think about this is that we can look at it in two ways. Let's just assume for a moment that it's going to make its way higher, because I don't see any fourth wave here yet. It hasn't jumped out of its trend channel here, so we can assume that it's going to go higher. We can also assume that coming into the old highs here, it's going to struggle as well, and it's going to create those wave fours that we've got here, because it's going to it's going to be checking that supply and so on. So we could actually look at this as wave 1 here and 2 here in the bullish sense, and then wave 1 and 2 here, right? And then go up for wave 3. We could also look at this too, and all these other markets, as an A and a B and a C wave here, just as we were looking at that in this regard here, as an A wave here, B wave here, C wave up here, and then coming down at that point. But as I mentioned, we've got this move that's coming up here. We also need to respect that, and we can look for an ABC pattern here. And if we get that, we can go long above the B wave. We can refine all of that, but we need, in some way or another, we need a trade setup in that space, and that's what we're going to be looking for. So I don't think that we need to get locked into being on any particular side at the moment. I think we need to be a bit more mature than that, and we need to think about this as an A and a B and a C, but we also need to think about the trade setup. So 5 waves up here, and then looking for some sort of ABC pattern here, and that's going to take a long while to work out. And if it does drop deeply, then we'll have to work the next little 5 waves up here and move in at that point, and so on. But because the top's going to be a long way away, the B wave's going to be a long way away, so we're going to have to work it from down here. So there's still a lot of analysis and work that has to be done to get us in at this particular point here. So yeah, but it does look like we're pushing up here higher. I won't go into the intraday at the moment and sort all that out, because I don't want you trading long into this. It will go higher, but there will also be, it will also stall, and won't be sort of doing much there. You could buy the dips if you wanted to in this, but yeah, I'll leave that up to you. But they're the two basic moves, and they're the things that we're going to do. So yeah, overall the market does look bullish, and we just need to validate that bullishness by an impulse wave, and then we need to look for the trade setup, which is buying the dip, as the dudes would say. But we need to be patient for that, and it's the same with the Dow Jones as well. So we can look at it's really quite high here, isn't it? It's like sort of in the, well, as part of the industrials, isn't it? So it's got that height there. So just find that industrial sector here. So this is further up here, of course, but it does look like we could take the top out here, but I can't prove that yet. But that's something that you could just keep an eye out, because if it takes that top out there, right, then we can start to look at this as wave 1 here and wave 2 here. If it doesn't take the top out here, or if it takes the top out here, we still need to be a bit mindful. It can be an A wave here, B wave here, and a C wave coming back down here. But in one way, either a wave 1 or wave B, whichever it's going to be, it's still got to pull back. It would be fantastic if it takes the top out here, because then it just even by a point, because then it validates that it's either going to be a B wave or a wave 2 here, as an A and a B and a C wave here, or up for 1 and back for 2. So yeah, this is another case in here where that we could look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 in here. It makes sense, doesn't it? But on the SPX and that, it's a bit dodgy in there. So this is the same in here as well. We're quite away on this case from taking that top out there, but at the same time, That's the 50-60%. So we can expect it to go a bit higher, you know, in all of this. But I still don't know if we're going to get 3 waves up or 5 waves up. So we can still have an A and a B and a C wave here and then a move up. Or if it's going to move up further, then we need to count this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 in here, and then take it higher up here. If it's going to go higher, it's going to take the top out here, and then it's going to have an ABC pattern. And that would just be fantastic, because then we can look to build in, you know, on this move back in through here or across the top here. So yeah, we're getting there, getting there. You know, this is really this trend being corrected here. So that's what we're like looking at. But I don't know if we're going to be, there's a good case for a B wave, because that's the high and that's 5 waves down here. So there is a good case for this being the A, the B, and the C. But at the same time, this top here could be counted differently as well, as an A and a B and a C in some markets. A bit sharp for a C market, for a C wave, more like an A wave here. So there's a lot of things going on here. I just don't have the setup yet for this, that's all. But yeah, so I won't go into that at the moment, but it will run out of steam into the long weekend. So I'll leave it all at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.